And when the Sublime starts jamming and the Ceros start flowing, you know it's time for the Corona Cero post-show. And the party on the beach begins. Cleland Jr. takes out a guy that nearly every single person who plays fantasy surfing had on their team, probably as their power surfer. Well, guess what? Your bracket's blown. Cleland takes out Felipe Toledo. And he doesn't look too stoked about it. But I'll tell you what, there's a big group of surfers out there who've been cheering Cleland on all season long, and they are elated right now. I'm Chris Cote, that's Jesse Mendez, and joining us is Strider Wasilewski from the lineup to the hot seat. What a way to end our day, fellas. That was pretty rad. Cheers to that one.
That was crazy. Oh, I got to cheers you guys.
Come on,
bring it in, bring it in.
It's happy hour.
I would like to cheers to Cleland Jr. I mean, that was a really solid performance. You know, we didn't see Philly really get going in that heat, and obviously that's why he lost. But cheers to the man. I mean, he's been going hard, and it went his way today. It was crazy.
Well, I want to see that again. Let's take a look at a recap of what just happened. See Cleland Jr. and Cleland Sr. right there getting prepped. And Toledo definitely not taking young Cleland for granted. And here's how it all started. A huge set wave for Cleland Jr., matching power for power. Jesse, this is exactly how this young Mexican wanted to start his heat off.
Yeah, man, it's crazy how starting off sometimes on the deeper with priority will make a difference on the priority rotation and sets you up to get the best waves of the heat, and that's what happened to Cleland. Obviously went to town, very powerful surfer, but just picked the right waves against the champ.
And it was tough out there, the way that he was surfing. You know, Felipe was on fire, but never caught the waves he needed.
I totally agree. Even this wave right here, there's that moment that the section got very nice and bowly. But that was kind of it, you know, like beautiful carve once again, but you can see the wave always kind of on the flatter side. And then finish it off very strong, but kind of squeezed everything out of that wave, but never found a wave of substance like All had. And All is going to town. Just such a heavy-footed surfer. Beautiful to watch.
That slow-mo of that one turn he does in the corner, and how much fin are that one right there. The fins are just out. I love that.
Pretty cool how many faces that we saw of Punta Roca today. You know, those beautiful offshores, the long lines we saw this morning. Through the midday, kind of siesta season, but then in the afternoon started pumping again. And that was a clutch performance from Cleland. Total bummer for Felipe Toledo. But of course, we're going into the Aussie treble. Felipe Toledo, you know, he knows this is a long season. Give it up one more time for Cleland Jr. This guy is definitely a surfer to watch in and out of the water. Just a super fun guy to be around. And doing it for the underdogs right there. And you know what? I don't care that my fantasy team just got absolutely clapped in the last couple of heats of the day, because I love a good underdog story, and we're seeing that rise right now from Cleland Jr. Well, there's your results for the round of 32 heat 16. Our last heat of the day was awesome. Now let's get more awesomeness on the glass. Cleland Jr. with Rosie Hodge.
Yeah, well, 90% of the time when Felipe is at this event, he wins it. Not today, Al. That was arguably the hardest matchup in the round. What did you make of it before paddling out?
Yeah, I mean, I saw the heat draw come up, and I was just disbelief, because Felipe is one of my idols, and I always wanted to surf against him. So to get to surf up against him in these kind of waves, it was an honor. And yeah, I mean, got a couple good waves, and I ended up coming up on top. So I'm really happy, and yeah, boards are feeling good. I feel good. Mentality feels good, and yeah, can't wait for more.
Another aspect of that is coming into the shoreline and having so many people here to love and support you. How does that feel, feeling that energy?
Yeah, I mean, I just have so many good friends, and everybody in the town and everybody in El Salvador. I just respect so many people here, and I love them and they love me. So it feels like a second home to me. And yeah, coming into that whole crowd cheering, it's really special. And yeah, I was just blessed.
And what's the story behind the whistle around your neck?
I got it during the ceremony at the start at the press conference, and yeah, I mean, I just felt like it was a lucky whistle, and I'm just gonna wear it for the rest of the event. It seems to work, so yeah, happy to be here, happy to get up some waves, and yeah, I'm here with my dad, all my friends, and yeah, I was just stoked.
Can you play it for us?
Sure.
Back to you guys.
Oh my gosh, I was really, really hoping he was going to blow that whistle, and he did it for us right there. Cleland Jr. on a good one. And you know what? So again, we talk about his act in the water. It's incredible, super powerful, amazing style, reminiscent of Bruce and Andy Irons. He's got all of that. On land, he's just a bro. I seen him every single night at La Bocana at sunset, hanging out on the beach with a bunch of different people, just watching the surfing, really just soaking up the lifestyle. And I feel like, you know, everybody has their own recipe for success. I feel like for Cleland Jr., being on a surf trip, being surrounded by people, like he said, that he loves and love him back, that's what's really giving him the energy right now. That's just an incredible performance, and that's how you skyrocket yourself to finals day.
He's also not changing who he is. It's all about, you know, just to stay in the course, which I love about him. You know, he's not, just because he made it on tour doesn't mean, he feels like he needs to, like, be more professional or put together, or whatever you want to say. He is who he is, and that's what you're going to get, and I love you for it, Al.
Some people go to the gym. Cleland Jr. goes to the beach. To each their own.
Every day, all day.
So that was a really fun way to end the day, of course, unless you're Felipe Toledo and that camp. They've got some probably talking to do at this point. But let's go back to some of the business that happened today. You know, to end it on such a high note like that, you know, happy hour vibes, you kind of got to look back to the round of 32, heat number 3. This was all business, and this would be considered a major upset. Griffin Colapinto right now is having one of the worst starts of his career. And he's doing everything possible to fight his way out of this slump. But Matthew McGillvray never underestimated. He went out there and went off, did everything right. It was a close heat all the way to the end, but at the end of it, it was McGillvray. What gave him the edge, Jesse?
I mean, it's very even hard to break it down, because if you see this rotation from Griffin Colapinto, like, as critical as progressive as it is, but just I feel like picking better waves, it's kind of been the name of the game today. As you can see, that wave has way more opportunity in front of him. It's just going to town, beautiful rail work. And that, for me, is what gave him the edge, because obviously he was being progressive as well, but mixing it up with major maneuvers.
Yeah, I felt like Griff on the face is surfing well, but not as sharp and fast as I'm used to seeing him surf. That was a beautiful snap right there. But everything else was a little bit subdued in my mind, and I feel like he's got a lot more in the tank to give us. And I think that's why he ended up losing this heat, just because, you know, the base game and the rail game that we're used to, the level wasn't there where it usually is. I mean, that air game, though, was second to none. So if we would have seen one more of those huge hangers, you know, we would have saw him advance through. But unfortunately, I think he's going to have to snap out of the Zen mode and go into the killer mode that he needs to be in on the face.
Yeah, I mean, something's got to give, and for Griffin to have this slow of a start, you know, this is a slump. But if anybody can find their way out of one, it's Griffin Colapinto. Mind, body, soul. He's heading to Australia in a little bit of a precarious position. Only 3 more events after this until that mid-season cut. And if we lose Griffin Colapinto, who was really on the precipice of a world title last year, that will be
2 years in a row.
Super shocker.
You know what I mean?
Well, here's your next matchup for Matthew McGillvray. Matthew McGillvray, to me, has always been underrated. You know, he's put on some huge performances in past events, but he's going up against Marco Mignot, who I'm going to say is got to be the most dangerous rookie on the championship tour. So far, what he's done, of course, you got to put Cleland Jr. in that conversation now. I mean, all the rookies have been shining at times, but I think Marco has really been shining so bright, especially what he did today. Well, he went out there and went nuts.
That opening air that he did, he was like 6 feet above the lip at least, and he stomped that, and that was just neck level. It was crazy.
I was kind of jealous that you saw that from the front row.
I actually expected that score to be higher. I know it was a single maneuver. We're at a point break, but that was one of the highest airs we've seen so far this year. Rotation, it was up in the air instead of going into the flats, which is hard to make a full rotation. going up instead of down to the beach. So that was beautiful performance from him. And Waiter kind of just being with the back against the wall and performing.
But he's got to look out. I mean, McGillvray is so gnarly. We saw that today. He's our Jason Bourne. This guy will fly off a cliff just with a little squirrel suit on and then come out here and just get nuts. I
Literally.
mean, he's unbelievable. I mean, I'm a huge fan of McGillvray.
No doubt. Our biggest stuntman on the championship tour. Well, we did see a rematch for the ages. Italo Ferreira going up against Bryan Perez. Remember the shock and awe last year when Bryan Perez paddled out against Italo and took him down. Well, this was looking like it was going to be fireworks from the jump. We started off with Bryan Perez hammering his home break all the way through from the outside. He had an early lead here, but then what did Italo do? Italo went into Italo mode. This one went down to the wire, only separated by about 1/10 of a point at the end of it. But what a heat to watch.
You were calling this heat, weren't you?
Yeah.
And you made a comment about that one wave that he took, and he left Italo out the
With
back.
the 733. That was the biggest problem.
That was the turn of the heat, right?
Yeah, because he already started with the 6.83, which was very solid wave, the one we just saw on screen. Italo back it up with this one, and now he sits with priority. And then he comes with that very small wave. As much as he surfed it very well and up the scale on that wave, still wasn't the time to pull the trigger against the yellow jersey. You know they're going to come back. So left the door open, and Italo took the chance and shut the door on him.
It just shows you can never count out Italo Ferreira. You know, in the middle of this heat, you're kind of thinking, I don't know, is he looking as sharp as he normally does? And then he just went straight cannonball run, up and into the lip on his backhand, did some of the most powerful backhand whips we saw all
This is the
day.
wave. This
Right
is 733.
Look at the fin release. I mean, he paddled by and he was so stoked. He was just like, it's pumping. You know, you're just like, whoa, this guy's not even thinking about surfing the heat. He's just psyched on how good the waves were.
This is how he surfs outside of a jersey, too. I mean, he is that guy. He is him. Italo Ferreira wearing the yellow jersey well. He gets a little bit of revenge on our hometown hero, Bryan Perez, but it's all love at the end of the day. And we did get a great interview, a sign-off with Mitchell Salazar and Bryan Perez after that heat. But big things coming for Italo Ferreira, who is trying to defend his spot. The top of the rankings is in that yellow jersey. He'll be going up against another powerhouse goofy footer. You've got one of the last place surfers on tour going up against one of the first place surfers on tour. And so far, El Salvador is a place where upsets happen. What do you think is going to happen in that matchup between Ramsey and Italo?
I mean, this is a big test for both of them. It's different style of surfing. Both obviously very aggressive and very powerful, but one more powerful, the other more progressive. It's just a matter of how we're going to wake up and see the waves.
I think the waves are going to be absolutely cracking tomorrow morning, and I feel like that is going to be a crazy heat for Ramsey Buchaim.
A huge chance for him.
Well, it is. I mean, we saw him in that in the event that they had down there in Morocco, and how amazing he was on that backhand. I mean, he's probably one of my favorite surfers on the backside to watch when there's waves of substance.
Well, I can't wait to see what happens next. And we've got a little bit of foreshadowing. Surfline came correct today here at the Surf City El Salvador Pro. It was nice and beautiful offshore, head high. But what's going to happen tomorrow? I'm seeing numbers. I'm seeing charts. I'm really not that good at math, Jesse. So maybe you can tell me what you're seeing here at the Surfline forecast.
I mean, you just see the numbers go up, and that's basically what you need to see on a point break like this. Almost the bigger the better. And we're going to see some fireworks. The winds are still pretty decent in the morning.
I know these numbers.
A little onshore.
6 to 8 foot faces. That's good. If you're one of the elite on the championship tour, and I believe when it's blue like that, that means the winds are going to be on our side.
Yeah, I think it's going to be that plus some. I really do. I feel like we're going to have well overhead surf in the morning. I can't wait. I want to see the world's best attack this lineup and just go crazy out there from the water.
I'm excited to see what tomorrow holds for us.
Definitely going to bed early tonight. You know, there's a lot to do in Surf City, but you got to just put a blinder to what's happening in town. Go to bed early. You're going to be here bright and early in the morning, and we're going to be in for hopefully another amazing long day of surfing. After all those kind of like morning sessions that we had a couple hours at a time, to have a full day of action here was pretty rad.
Yeah, it was amazing, but I mean, you got to at least go for a walk around town tonight without Cleland Jr.
Oh, that could be dangerous.
He's always
Let's go.
there.
Come on, we'll go check it out. I love it.
Okay, I'll give you till 9 o'clock.
Okay,
all right?
Dad.
That's my curfew.
All right, Dad.
Curfew.
All right. Oh, wow, we're not done yet here at the Corona Cero post show. We've got our favorite parts of the day. Your top 5 moments are about to go down. And sitting at number 5, big action here from Italo Ferreira and Bryan Perez. I mean, this had everybody won watching this heat. It was so tight. You know, you had the hometown hero versus the reigning, world number 1, and just one of those heats that everybody kind of got a lot of joy out of at the end.
And he did some damage right there. You see that carve was just sharp.
Beautiful surfing from the Pink Panther. But you know what? Can't leave this guy alone in the lineup. Not waiting for a set. And he's going to do his damage. You know it's going to get done. It's just an interesting thing where you sit back and you look at his position at this point and how dominant he feels at these events.
He's a Lamborghini mixed with a bulldozer fueled by Red Bull. He just goes out there and wrecks things at high speeds.
I mean, there's no like first or second or third gear.
No,
it's always
he's stuck in 6th.
That thing is
and we're fine with that.
The pedal is down on the floor.
Number 4, a little bit different in this one. Kind of a languid pace in this heat. It was a slow burn. Baron Mamiya got off to an early start, almost had this one in the bag, but Alejo Muniz, we know him as a grinder. He will never give up. He let this one go down to the wire. Great surfing by both of these guys. Fortunately, they were right in that kind of siesta time of the day where things were pretty slow. They had us on edge this entire heat.
No doubt, yeah, which made it exciting in its own way. But this wave here from Barrel, beautiful. Just that second turn would have probably delay himself a little bit and get a little bit more critical to mix it up, because he left the door open and Alejo just very committed surfing and got the score in the end.
That was crazy. The fins were just flying. Alejo, and I was in the Red Bull competitors area during this, and everybody was lighting up and screaming. The whole corner of the Red Bull athlete zone was the Brazilian crew, and they were just losing it. They were so stoked for Alejo. It was rad.
It's really fun to watch a surfer just give everything they have at the last minute of a heat. Alejo Muniz did just that. We already talked about this, but we're going to talk about it again because this was a huge moment for Matthew McGillvray. You know he's never been underestimated by any surfer on tour. They know how good this guy is. He went up against Griffin Colapinto, who was definitely considered one of the top 2 favorites in this event. So that win for Matthew McGillvray has to give him confidence that now he knows he can make the finals. Sorry guys, I took that whole segment for myself. I got really excited. Here we go, Leonardo Fioravanti. Jesse, this was masterful surfing.
That's beautiful. Leo's I think we're talking a little bit ago how he's been stepping it up and getting better and better. He looks like he's a top 5 contender right now. The surfing, the power he has, the release on that layback is just impressive. And obviously, we always knew he was a very competitive freak, but just putting everything together now.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what it is that he changed, but please continue on the path. He is so sharp. The boards look amazing, and he looks like a world title surfer. I mean, to me, he's been one of the best guys all year, just looking like on point and ready, and just, I don't know, I'm loving the way Leo's surfing.
He's really letting his style shine, which is really, really fun to watch. And here we go, your number 1 moment of the day. From France, from Mexico, Sayalitas, 2 Signos, Marco Mignot. What a way to fire up the crowd, to fire up the audience, to fire us up. That was Marco's heat, and he made us, he entertained us the whole time.
And just to mention, he oversurfed Rio on this heat because he got worse waves and still bit the guy. And the guy is one of the most informed surfers we have on tour right now.
I love Rio.
Because of that.
I love Rio, and I hate to say it, I didn't even remember who Marco was going against. He really got that much attention.
Yes, he was impressive. And just to say that he barely got the score in this wave just shows how much guts he had after doing that huge punch, going for another air reverse on the shallow rocks right there.
Well, he had to do something. This thing was like a little pilau baga on the inside. There was nothing there. And he still threw the air reverse onto the rocks, which was, I mean, that's just pure commitment right there, which I love. And that's why he made those huge airs, because it was just pure commitment. The wind was whipping across the lip line, and it was so hard to stick those kind of maneuvers in that kind of condition.
You know, I love to see shakeups in the upper echelon of the rankings on both the men's and the women's side of the draw. That just means that this story is just beginning, and we can't wait to see what happens next. You're going to have to set your alarm for tomorrow, 6:45 Salvadorian time for a possible 7 o'clock start. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Well, it's been a week of starts and stops, but as you can see, the lights are on and the surfers are arriving well before sunup. Swells arrive just in time.
Oh, I'm excited, Joe. I'm excited.
Hunter O'Leary's the way he's doing it right now is just pure power. It's precise.
Griffin can stay calm and do his brand of surfing here.
This was otherworldly, Joe. Just one maneuver, but when you consider how strong that offshore wind is, that is extremely difficult.
And Maddie's thinking about the wave to turn this heat right here. Lighting up the lip with some hammers out the back, making 3. McGillvray, throw tail, hunt in the flats. Perfect landing. It is Matty McGillvray upsetting last year's world number 3.
We are talking about one of the most technical, most difficult, and one of the highest airs I have ever seen. Look at how high he gets, Joe. How high he gets, how quick that rotation is, and blowing the kiss.
Final wave of the matchup. The rookie sets up that first section. Big throw tail reverse. Who is this rookie? Mignot running down the line, pushes the tail out once again. Everybody is losing it. Lally Bertan, his dad is jumping up and down, and for good reason. That was electric.
We're going to start off with Ethan Ewing. Has to be considered one of the most technologically savvy and advanced surfers on the championship tour. He's got his hands full now. All right, Levi now winding up, finds a tube. Chianca's masterful use of priority still in effect. Quick snap there to start. Wave screaming down the line. That's more like it, leaning in on his heels.
We talk about surfing on rail. Crosby Colapinto, definitely one of those power surfers we have on tour nowadays.
Crosby is up, so if you take up after the horn, it'll be an interference.
Growing up on Vanuatu, moved to Manly. Seems like Sydney's own, looking very well in this opening exchange, Joe.
And then Jack here once again going for that layback dagger. Wow, what a round of 32 it's been today at Punta Roca. Some big names out of the mix.
Bryan off the bottom, coming around the corner. Let's see what he's got in the lip line. Bango. Whoa, buckets out the back. Plenty of spray. Another one. Oh, I like the power he's using in his surfing. Wow!
And this is Italo's wave that we mentioned. Beautiful first crack out the back.
Building speed, looking for something big. Takes to the air. And will he do it again and clean it up? Absolutely, no. Still.
Once again.
Leo Fioravanti and blitzes that first section.
Just lethal. How's that payback? Fully pushes. Some great surfing by the Mexican surfer from Pascuales. Fully committed on rail, Joe, and hard not to compare really to Andy, Chris Ward, that style that he has, and as you said, the people's champ for a reason.
This copyrighted event broadcast is produced by the World Surf League for broadcast around the world and may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the written consent of the World Surf League.